In journalism school, we learned that the proper way to do a newscast is to start off with your leading story and do the next stories in order of importance based off of the 7 newsworthy determinants. However, I'm going to be breaking that today. I'm going to be making this video about the Montreal Canadiens, and we're not going to be doing it in biggest story to least important story with a kicker at the end. We're going to be going just in chronological order because I feel like it. Let's talk a little bit about the Habs today before they play off today at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. It's one of those weird days where the Habs, the Wings, the Canucks, and the Leafs are all playing at the same time. This happened on Tuesday, it's happening today, it's happening again on Saturday, so I'm going to be scrambling on Saturday to make videos once that happens as well. But I wanted to talk a little bit about these Canadiens news updates, so let's start out with what happened yesterday when the Laval Rocket played against the Belleville Senators. Now, it was indeed a 4-1 win for the Rocket. And a few interesting things to note here. Charles Hudon was a guy who got his 27th goal on the year, assisted by Jesperi Kotkaniemi and Kevin Lynch. Kotkaniemi is over there with 11 points in 11 games played. They're all assists, by the way. It's kind of weird, because Kotkaniemi doesn't have any goals. He only has 11 assists in 11 AHL games. The guy is playing with some pretty good line mates in Charles Hudon, formerly Jake Evans, but of course Evans is now with the team. But Hudon is over here getting his 27th goal on the year. That is good enough to lead the Laval Rocket in goal scoring. And another interesting performance to note here from the Laval Rocket's game against Belleville. They only scored 1 goal, did the Belleville Senators. And the first star of the game was the Laval Rocket's Cayden Primeau, who made 27 saves on 28 shots. In fact, Cayden Primeau, in his last 3 starts with Laval, has 3 wins. He has 3 goals allowed on 80 total shots and a .962 save percentage. He's been really good in this recent stretch. Now, he has had his ups and downs, Cayden Primeau has, but in general, this season with the AHL, he is over there with a .905 save percentage and a .253 goals against average. Obviously, that's not like elite all-star level, but the fact of the matter is Cayden Primeau is only 20 years old. So he is in a position to actually develop under these circumstances. A .964 save percentage is what he had last night when he played the Marlies a few days ago, a .963 save percentage against the Manitoba Moose, a .960 save percentage. Primeau has been stepping his game up after going through a few stretches of ups and downs earlier on in the year. Primeau is down there playing the same way that Carey Price plays when Carey Price is Carey Price. He plays like a grandfather in a rocking chair, just going back and forth, calm, cool, smooth, and just doing whatever needs to be done out there, and doing it properly too. Cayden Primeau has been a guy who, I've said it before on this channel, I've been following ever since his days at Northeastern, so I've been seeing the development and the upward curve of his learning in terms of being an effective goaltender, and it's really awesome to see his upward development here in the AHL. He is on pace to becoming the next Habs starting goalie, from Carey Price CP31 to Cayden Primeau CP30. It's looking like a pretty good goaltending system that we have. However, let's go over onto the next pieces of Habs news here today. This is what came out earlier today on Twitter. We spoke about Charles Hudon, his goal the other day. Well, he's been getting rewarded for those 27 goals he scored down there, because he got called up to the Montreal Canadiens right now, and he's going to be an emergency option against the New York Rangers. Now, people are going to be asking, okay, why the heck is Hudon back up? Okay, well, let's just get into this opportunity here for Hudon before we get into that, because Charles Hudon has been a guy who has had a very, very weird path establishing himself as an NHL athlete, and I think anybody watching the Habs can kind of testify to that. Hudon is, in my viewing, a legitimately good goal scorer, but his development over there with the Habs, the way he's being played, 4th line minutes, 3rd line minutes, it's not really all too great. if you play Hudon with the intention of being a minutes-eating forward who goes up against other teams' good forward lines and shuts them down, you're going to be disappointed. That is strictly just not the playstyle, and those aren't the benefits that come with Hudon's game. What you need to do with a Charles Hudon is do what you were doing with him in Laval. Play him with playmakers. Play him with guys who can get him the puck. Guys who can open up space, because Hudon as a trigger man is honestly pretty alright. Now, I don't want to make it seem like Hudon is one-dimensional, but it is kind of the narrative I'm painting with my words now, isn't it? But Charles Hudon will most likely get a role somewhere in the top 6 or the middle 6, mostly middle 6, I believe, because the guy who was coming out of the lineup today, well, it's Jonathan Drouin. Drouin was confirmed over here by the Montreal Canadiens to not dress tonight with an ankle injury. Yikes. Yikes. This sucks. This really does suck. Drouin has been injured so much this season, and it just keeps on coming. It's like that song from Shrek. It doesn't stop coming. But overall, Drouin being out will give Hudon an opportunity to actually step in. I don't know if Hudon is going to go straight into Drouin's spot in the lineup. I think they're going to do some shuffling around to actually make things work. But the point remains here. Give Hudon the opportunity to do well offensively, and he will deliver. Don't play him 7 minutes a night in a bottom 6 role. That's not gonna be productive at all for this young player. And I say young, I know he's in his mid-20s already, but like, seriously. He has so much potential in terms of scoring goals at this level, but he hasn't been capitalized in that aspect throughout his entire career, pretty much. So Drouin being out, I know that sucks, but if this proves as an opportunity for Charles Hudon to come over here and actually start establishing himself as an NHL caliber athlete, then c'est la vie, I would be okay with that. Sure, I'm not okay that Drouin is injured, but like the opposite. I'm okay with Hudon being good, and I think anybody watching the Habs can also be okay with that too. Now, some people may be concerned about the playoff chances of Laval because Drouin is out, which means that Hudon, which is Laval's best goal scorer, got called up, but Hudon is only up here on an emergency recall, which means that he has like 9 games or whatever before he's supposed to be sent back to the AHL. The Habs are allowed to keep Hudon past 9 games, but I think there's something that goes on with that would make them not want to do that. There's some weird clause in there, but it's an emergency recall, so the intention of that is to actually see Hudon back with the Rocket eventually, so I'm not too sure how long he's going to stay up here. It, of course, really depends on Jonathan Drouin and how he is able to recover. If he is able to recover, because it took him a long time to recover from the last thing, now he's out again, so we'll see. We will see for sure. But that kind of wraps up our Habs update video today before the Montreal Canadiens go out there and play some hockey. Jesperi Kotkaniemi, 11 points, 11 games played. He's doing pretty well. Charles Hudon, he got a call-up, and he also scored his 27th goal on a Kotkaniemi assist last night. Cayden Primeau has been really gosh darn good, and the guy is looking to take on the reins for a carry price. And Hudon is up here because, yeah, Drouin is out again. Hey, at least it's not Gallagher, Drouin, and Byron all at the same time, right? Right? Well, yeah, it still feels pretty bad, doesn't it? I don't know. I'm just trying to live out the rest of the season and see how things go at the draft. That's what I'm excited for. Go, Tank, go. Yeah, Habs, Tank out there. I want to see Alexis Lafreniere in a Montreal Canadiens jersey. To me, I said this before and I'll say it again just because we're rounding out the gameplay here. Montreal doesn't have a viable chance at making the playoffs. They can go on a few win streaks here and there to try to seal up the deal, but I don't think they're going to be going on a few win streaks here or there. I don't have faith in this team to be able to do that, but this season, where everything has kind of gone wrong from an injury standpoint, this is the time to give Hudon his opportunity. This is the time. when the games don't really matter all too much, and the players are all injured, this is the time for Hudon to show what he's worth. And it's the time to give him that chance to do that. So I hope you enjoyed this video, and bye.